I was not a good man. For years I ruled with cruelty and fear. I believed mercy was weakness, and weakness was something a lord could not afford. Servants lowered their eyes when I entered. Soldiers obeyed. Rebels were crushed before they could rise. Everyone knew one truth. Disobedience had a price. People feared me, but they did not respect me. For a long time, I told myself there was no difference. Fear was enough. Power was enough. That was the world I built. Cold, silent, and empty. I had gold, soldiers, and a title that made men bow. But when the halls grew quiet, none of it comforted me. I had no friends, only subordinates. No loyalty, only fear. No love, only obedience. Then I met her. Her name was Leora. She had no noble blood, no fortune, and no place at court. By my old measure, she had nothing, yet she was the first person who did not fear me. When our paths crossed, I expected lowered eyes and careful words. But she looked at me directly. Not as a lord, not as a ruler, simply a man. At first I found it insulting. Later I found it impossible to forget. She questioned my judgments. She refused to flatter me. She spoke the truth calmly, without fear, and that was more dangerous than any rebellion. Slowly, I began to hear her. I punished less, I listened more. I saw fear in people's faces, and for the first time it no longer felt like strength. It felt like proof of what I had become. Leora did not change me with speeches. She simply refused to accept the monster I had chosen to be. And because of her, I began to question everything. My advisors warned me that mercy would make me weak, that compassion would bury the rule fear had built. I dismissed them, but deep down, I knew they were not entirely wrong. One night, Leora asked me a question I could not escape. If you had to choose between your power and a life with me, which would you pick? I gave no answer. But the question followed me through every hall. I had spent my life believing power made a man free. But if I could not leave it, was it power? Or was it a prison? Eventually I chose her. I stepped down as Lord. I gave up my title, my lands, my authority, and the fear that had protected me. I handed everything to another man, believing that by losing it, I might become worthy of standing beside her. I thought I was choosing freedom. Instead, I chose ruin. The moment I lost my power, the world changed its face. Men who once bowed looked at me with contempt. Old enemies returned. Allies abandoned me. Servants who once trembled whispered behind my back. Leora and I left everything behind. We lived in hiding, moving from village to village, sleeping behind locked doors. There was no peaceful cottage, no simple happiness untouched by the past. There was hunger, fear, cold nights, and someone still wanted me dead. Some nights I felt the weight of my choice pressing on my chest. I had given up my name, wealth, safety, and command for one woman. Sometimes in my weakest moments I resented her, not because I stopped loving her, but because love had stripped away every lie I used to survive. With power, I had been feared. Without it, I was nothing. And yet, for the first time, that nothing was honest. I once owned halls of gold, but no one cared if I lived or died. Now I had almost nothing, but when Leora reached for my hand in the dark, I understood what my former self would have mocked. I was poor, I was hunted, I was no longer important. But I was not alone. She knew what I had done, but she believed I could become more than the worst things I had chosen. Fear asks nothing of a man except cruelty. Love asks him to become worthy of it. Because of her, I learned that being obeyed is not the same as being trusted. Being feared is not the same as being strong. I lost my power, my goal, and the name that made men tremble. But for the first time, someone saw me without the armor of my title. as a man who still had a choice. I thought strength meant holding tightly to all I had built. I thought surrender was weakness. But sometimes the life love takes from you is the life that was killing you. True strength is not always found in conquest. Sometimes it is found in surrender to something real. I was not a good man. I may never escape who I was. But because of her, I am trying. And if becoming better costs me all I once called mine, then perhaps that is the price of finally